Welcome students in today's lecture. I am Nazia Begum here, your physics lecturer. In today's topic, we are going to discuss mobility of charge carrier, current density, and about Ohm's law and various factors associated with that. In our previous topic, we have already discussed what drift velocity is. Now today when we are going to discuss about mobility of charge carrier, let's see its definition. So what is its definition? It is defined as magnitude of drift velocity per unit electric field. So here one thing you must be very careful, that here we are concerned with the magnitude of drift velocity. Okay. So mobility, which is represented by a symbol mu, equals to magnitude. For magnitude we are providing here one sign of mod. So magnitude of drift velocity mod of Vd upon E. This is mobility of charge carrier. Okay. And its SI unit is meter square per volt second. Now Vd equals to E tau n upon m, where E is the charge on electron. In previous lecture you must have remembered that we have used one minus sign here. Okay. But here we are not using minus sign because we are dealing with the magnitude mod of Vd. So here direction doesn't matter. We are only concerned with the magnitude. So E is the charge of electron, capital E, this one is the electric field, tau n is the relaxation time upon m, which is mass of electron. So this is value of Vd. When we put this value in equation mu equals to Vd upon E, this E and this E got cancelled and we got E tau n upon m. This is mobility of charge carrier, E tau n upon m. For electrons it is minus E, for positive ions it is plus E. Okay, give it equation number 7. Now our next topic is current density. What is this? At a point in conductor. Okay, when we are talking about current density, so we will talk about a particular section, a particular area, not the conductor as whole. So at a point in conductor, it is defined as the current flowing per unit area of cross section. Okay, so basically what it is the current flowing per unit area of cross section. And how to take this cross section? It is taken perpendicular to the current. So suppose this is one conductor and this is the direction of flow of current. You can see this is the direction. So perpendicular to this, perpendicular to the direction of, this is the direction of current, this is perpendicular of that. So here we will take one area, one cross sectional area, and the current flowing per unit cross sectional area is the current density of this point. So J, current density is denoted by J equals to I upon A. We know I equals to NAEVD. In previous lecture we have discussed about that. When we put the value of value of I in J, A will cancel out and J equals to NEVD. If we want to write it in vector form, we can write in this way. Vector of J equals to NE vector VD. Okay, E is the charge, N is the number of electron present per unit volume. These both are scalar quantities. Only velocity is the vector quantity here. So this vector sign will be on velocity. And coulomb per meter cube is the SI unit of current density. Next topic for today's lecture is Ohm's law. So students, one thing I want to clear to you, that Ohm's law, resistance, combination of resistance, that is series and parallel, dependence of resistance in different factors, all these things we have already discussed in detail in class 10th. Okay, so here we are going to read it in a revision manner. So I am not going to explain in so much detail as you have already studied it in class 10th in detail. So Now we will go a little fast for these topics. Okay. So what is Ohm's law? It states that the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference applied across its ends, provided the physical conditions of the conductor, that is temperature, density, etc., remain the same. So this thing we have already discussed, that if we want the current to flow, we must apply the potential difference. When there will be difference, then only the charges will flow from one point to another. If there is no difference, no charge will flow. That means as we increase the difference, the number of charges flowing will be increased. So automatically the current will increase. So that's why by applying potential difference, okay, current will flow, and that's why current is directly proportional to the potential difference. But one necessary condition for the application of Ohm's law is that all the physical conditions should be constant. Now what are the physical conditions? Length, cross-sectional area, temperature and density. Okay, these things must be constant, because when these things vary, the resistance of conductor will also vary, and if the resistance will vary, it affects the amount of current flowing through the conductor. So that's why all the physical properties of the conductor should be constant. Now mathematically how we can write it? I is directly proportional to V, or we can also write V is directly proportional to I. Okay. Now if we want to remove this proportionality sign, so in place of this we can put equal sign, and we can also introduce one constant with that. Okay. If this proportionality sign has to be converted into equal sign, so what we have to do? We have to multiply one constant here. So V equals to Ri, or if we transfer I here, so V upon I equals to R. Now this constant which we have introduced, this proportionality constant, is called the resistance of the conductor. From here we can see that resistance, what is the value of resistance? It is V upon I, that is potential difference upon current. So ratio of potential difference to the current is called resistance. And from this equation one thing is also very clear, that resistance is directly proportional to potential difference but inversely proportional to I. If current is constant, resistance is directly proportional to V. But if voltage is constant, current is inversely proportional to I. That means if the amount of resistance will increase, the amount of current will decrease. Okay. And that thing we have already discussed, that as the resistance increases, that means opposition increases. So obviously the current will decrease. Okay. Now suppose a conductor is given a specific value of voltage, and because of that we are getting a specific value of current. So according to Ohm's law, as we increase the voltage, the current also should increase. Now suppose we are gradually increasing the voltage across the ends of the conductor, voltage difference across its ends. So as we increase the voltage, the amount of current will also increase. So when we try to plot a graph between V and I, so we will find a straight line only in the condition if the conductor is following the Ohm's law. Okay. So if by applying a graph between voltage and current for a conductor we are getting a straight line, that means that conductor is following Ohm's law. If we are not getting straight line, that means the conductor is not following Ohm's law. Here you can see ohmic and non-ohmic materials. Okay. So when you have to differentiate between ohmic and non-ohmic material, it is very simple. Plot a graph between voltage and current. If the graph is a straight line, the conductor is ohmic. if the graph is not straight line but having any other shape, this kind of shape or any shape like this, that means other than straight line, if conductor is getting any other shape, okay, so that means it is non-ohmic conductor.